Okay, so we'll get underway now. Welcome, everybody. My name is Carolyn Samuel. I'm a Senior Academic Associate at Teaching and Learning Services, and I'm here today with my colleague, Adam Finkelstein, an Associate Director at Teaching and Learning Services, and we're delighted to be here today with you because we haven't presented together in what, weeks, months? Don't remember, but we love doing this, so we're really happy to be presenting Planning Your Fall 2021 Courses, Blended Learning Activities and Assessments. So that's our topic for today. And with that, Adam, do you want to get us going?
Perfect, we'll do so. So I do want to point out how we have our wonderful little blender icon. This was, a long time discussion about how we would indicate that icon. I do want to point out that we have a very nice open source icon, part of the Noun project that we're using. So you'll see the blender as we continue as a good theme for today. But starting out, we just want to start our discussion today with land acknowledgement. So even in virtual environments, we want to make sure that we acknowledge Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we may be separately on today. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility to improving our relationships among nations and improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples, the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe, and other cultures. It's something we do like to do, especially in our sessions, is start that off to ensure we know whose land we are standing on, virtually or not. And of course, many of us are in the McGill or Montreal area, so the land acknowledgement would very much apply. So with this, we want to start off our discussion today by thinking a little bit about what's happened last year. So many of you have been teaching online, part of all the craziness that has happened in 2020. But there was a really interesting study that we want to point to that was just published this year, and it was based on 3 surveys that were done at the beginning of the pandemic in March, middle of the road in September, and not the end of the pandemic, but the end of the term in the fall in December. And it was done with about 1,000 faculty the first time, the second time, and the third time about 1,500 across over 800 different institutions over North America, mostly focused on the US, I should mention that. There are a couple of really interesting things that have come from that we want to mention that are really important in thinking forward. And I think many of you may or may not agree, and we definitely urge you to post in the chat if you have some comments here. But here are a couple of the key findings from that study that was done. The first is that many instructors made changes to their teaching, which most of you did because you had to shift to either remote or sort of a fully online teaching scenario. And those changes, many people have said that they're going to keep them in the post-pandemic teaching scenario, which I think is already an interesting point right off the bat, that all of these modifications using a lot more electronic means of assessment, means of engagement, people are planning to keep around, which I think is very interesting. Second is that what's also interesting is that despite the craziness of 2020, many instructors, or most of them, a large majority, were very optimistic about online learning and the future of how online learning was going to impact their teaching. So another really interesting piece of this study. And the third, which I think is really critical and why we're talking about this today, is that flexibility is the key principle moving forward. We really need to think about what is best in what environment. And those of us that have been in teaching and learning are so excited because, for years and years and years, for my entire career, we have always talked about, listen, we want to do stuff online that's good for online, and we want to do stuff face-to-face that's good face-to-face. And when we do that kind of blend, we get the best type of teaching we could possibly get. We're really aligning what works best where. And the nice thing about doing that is that it makes things sustainable. It allows us to sort of capitalize on all these different tools and affordances and really make learning better. So with that, we want to mention the fall 2021 context for McGill. And this has been discussed by a number of folks in senior administration. It's been talked about in town halls a bit as well, that we really have 3 kind of scenarios that are happening. The first is that there are some courses that will be fully online, i.e. if it's over 150, they're going to be fully online and they're going to stay online, in which case they can take advantage of synchronous things, i.e. Zoom meetings and Zoom sessions, or asynchronous activities where, let's say you're doing assignments or you're posting videos and people are responding. And of course, one of the key components is that everybody is being recalled to McGill. So those that are teaching online, we know that the students will be here in Montreal, so we don't have to worry about time zones as much. So that means synchronous online teaching, like using things with Zoom, become really, really attractive, even more so than they were during the pandemic or during 2020. On the far right side, we have a resurgence or a return to in-person teaching. So a lot of the teaching that was being done pre-pandemic is starting to come back post-pandemic. And many of you have already had to give an indication to your schedulers that, yes, you want to have a certain number of sessions in person or some sort of combination thereof. And the middle part, which I think is really important, is really what a lot of you are going to be faced with, which is this idea of some kind of mix of the two. So one of the ways that McGill has helped define blended learning, or this blend that's happening, is teaching and learning activities that are a combination of online and in person. So you are doing some things online and you are doing some things in person. And what's really important is that it allows you to make decisions to maximize the benefits of both. What's best online gets done online. What's best in person gets done in person. And this is one of the key critical things that we want to focus on. So for example, you might have a course that meets once per week for an hour and a half with no synchronous online sessions, maybe a few things asynchronously, like you use some assignment submissions or online quizzes, but most things are done in person. Another example might be you have an hour in class in person, and then maybe you have another hour synchronously online later on in the week as an example, or some sort of combination thereof. Or maybe everything is fully online. So again, it's that idea we have a continuum. Many people are going to be in that blended middle area, and that gives you a lot of options and opportunities to pick what is best where. Now, one thing we do want to point out that's very important is that McGill has made a concerted effort and a decision to focus in doing one or the other. In other words, students or your activities with your students are going to be in an online environment or they're going to be in person. We're not attempting to do a scenario where there's a mixture. In other words, you have an in-person class where some students are coming in online, some are in the room, etc. That is basically not happening in about 98% of scenarios at McGill, and that's intentional. It's very difficult to cognitively manage that kind of scenario. And in addition, most of the rooms on campus just are not built in to have infrastructure to really have students attend remotely and attend in person in the same space. So really what we're talking about is you're either doing an in-person session or you're doing online sessions in some sort of combination thereof. So with that, I think we want to transition to our next question, which is going to go to Carolyn. But go ahead.
Hold on one second. I just want to point out that there was a reference on the previous slide, and I have put in the chat that all references will be available on the TLS webinars page. Probably not today, but we hope we can get that up tomorrow, along with a recording of this webinar and the slides. So all of that will be made available to you. Okay, with that, let's keep going, Adam. Okay, so we're going to ask you a question. We've got this question on the screen. How prepared do you feel to teach in fall 2021? So this is a poll, but a slightly different kind of poll from what you might be used to. We're going to ask you to annotate something on the screen, but before we show that, we just want to be sure that everybody knows where the annotate feature is in Zoom. So you can go to your menu bar, which is probably at the top of your screen, and look for annotate. And when you click on annotate, you should have an option for stamp. So we've got that in a box there. All right, so Adam, let's put up the continuum. Great, thank you. So there we have your choices. Can't bear the thought. Oh, we have to anonymize this. Hold on one second. It was done, but we have to redo this. So Adam, can you just click on don't show? Excellent, thank you. So now put your stamp on the continuum in the place that best represents how you're feeling, how prepared you feel to teach in fall 2021. Okay, this is happening. Excellent. So far we don't have any clusters. Okay. Oh, so we've got people very much on the right side of that continuum. Can't wait to start. Let's go. Wonderful. We'll just wait to see if some more responses come up. Okay, but not everybody's there. There are some people who are who maybe need some encouragement. We'll just wait a minute to see if anybody else responds. Okay, we've got some other responses coming in. Okay, so this is information that is helpful for us so that we know who we're working with today, and we've got a varied audience. Okay, varied opinions about their levels of preparation. All right, so Adam, maybe you'd like to clear the screen. And yeah, you've not just clear, move to the next slide only, but also take away the stamps. There we go. Thank you. All right. So now that we have a sense of who's with us, we'd just like to mention what our session outcomes are for today. And we have two. So we hope that by the end of this session, you will be able to determine which components of your course should be in person and which should be online. And we hope that you'll be able to identify the assessment sweet spot in your course. And sweet spot might not be familiar to everybody. So just to say what that is, think about the ideal location where a combination of factors come together in the best way possible for a particular purpose. So that's the sweet spot. And Adam's going to be talking a little bit more about that later on. So from here, we'd like to jump right in with an example of what a blended segment of teaching might look like. I like starting with examples and then sort of taking them apart. So this is taken from McGee and Rice. And again, we will provide the full reference for you. And oh, somebody is still annotating. Maybe we want to disable the annotations. And I like to say these things out loud just so that the instructors with us know that that capability exists. So you can disable the annotations so that your students don't put rogue marks on the screen while you're talking. All right, so in this example of what a blended segment of teaching might look like, we have in the left column the objective. In this case, given Pythagorean theory, learners will design a skateboard ramp for a specific area. Okay, so we've got an objective. Then we move to the next column, activities. So these are learning activities. These learning activities should look fairly familiar to you. You have students read chapters in books, you have students watch videos, you might have students solve problems, create designs, give peer feedback, and then share their work for more feedback. We go to the next column, which is activity setting. So this is the location, and this is, or well, it's the setting, and this is what Adam was talking about earlier. We can have our activities happen in online environments, which could be asynchronous, as in the case of reading. So students might do their reading in My Courses. That's the next column, the tool used. And students would do that on their own asynchronously. They can solve word problems. They can do that on their own as well, online asynchronously using the My Courses quiz tool. They can share their designs, and that in this example is going to happen online, but synchronously. So everybody's online at the same time in Zoom, and they're doing this with a peer. And then they can provide feedback on those designs, but they can do that asynchronously. So online, but asynchronously using a peer assessment tool. And finally, we want students to come together in person. So this would be on campus in a classroom where they would share their final designs, and the tool used would probably just be that classroom projector. And then in the next two columns, we have some assessment ideas. I'm not going to spend time on that now, but again, with the assessments, we see that students can present something in person, and they can then submit something else via the assignments tool in My Courses. So again, we've got the different environments. So this is blended. Some activities are online. Thank you for that, Adam. Some activities are online in asynchronous environments. Some are online in synchronous environments, and some can be in person. So this is one segment from a course. It's just taken, it's abstracted from a course to let us see how this can work. Before we take questions, I'm just going to look at what's, I see something was going on in the chat. Okay, nothing there yet. Before we talk about how we put this together, let's look at another example. Okay, so this is the same type of example, and I want to mention also something I didn't say earlier, that the banded colors, like the shading and the non-shading, that's just to enhance readability. So there's no inherent meaning in the colors in the tables. So this example is from a real course at McGill, prehistoric archaeology. So one of our colleagues, Katie Kotar, put this example together from her course. And we have a different objective here to critically evaluate sources of archaeological information in popular media. And otherwise, I mean, the columns in the table are the same. We see some of the same activities reading articles, watching videos, online asynchronous, and that would happen in my courses, and a guest lecture. And in this instance, the guest lecture is happening online synchronous in Zoom. Of course, that could also be on campus, in person on campus, but in this case, the instructor has chosen to do it this way. And then we have another activity where examples are identified. That's going to happen in person with small group discussion and the use of whiteboards. So the in-person would be on campus. And then students share their critique online for peer review. And again, we have a peer assessment. So Adam, you can put that box up. Yeah, so our focus is here on the setting, the activity setting. These are all sort of mixable. Like, you could do some of these in other environments. For, as I said, for the guest lecture, that could just as easily happen on campus. And identifying examples in person, small group discussion, and whiteboards, well, we know that there are ways to do that online in synchronous environments. So the question that we're going to put to you, and Adam, if you can just go to the next slide. Thank you. This slide is to illustrate that you can choose what's going to be in person, online synchronous, and online asynchronous. They go into that blender, we'll see what comes out. But the question that we actually want to put to you is, what would be the basis for decision making? So how are you going to decide what happens in person, online synchronous, and online asynchronous? So now this is an opportunity for you to put some thoughts in the chat, and Adam put the prompt there. Thank you. So what would be the basis for your decision making about where to, like, which settings to choose? And people need thinking time, so we can just wait a few minutes and hope that you put something in the chat. So we've got clinical practice role playing. Okay, so that's an activity type. And I would put the question there, what would be the most appropriate setting for that and why? So is that something that you would want your students doing in person, or asynchronously online, or synchronously online? And the key point is, how do you make that decision? So that's kind of what we want to get at now. How do you make the decision about the setting for the activities? And we have a very practical response here. Absolutely. Number of students, availability of rooms, certainly a concern. And we know that some courses at McGill, those that are greater than 150 students, are largely going to be online in the fall semester for that very reason. But that's not the only reason, because there are also pedagogical reasons, and there might be some other reasons too. So can you come up with anything else? Basis for decision making.
We should have Jeopardy music. That would sort of like be nice if we had some background music that kind of prompted people's thinking.
I'm not going to hum it for anybody, that's for sure. Okay, so we've got, if the activity requires hands-on small groups. Yeah, that would certainly be a reason to have people come together, have the students come together. And then we've got teaching theory, where little interaction is needed, and best online asynchronous. Well, there's a question mark. We're not going to say what's best, but it's the question that's important. So that's great. Depends on where you're at in the unit rollout. Beginning may focus on synchronous, and in present or later in the unit, more group and or asynchronous work. Yeah, also good thinking. Depends on the number of instructors or TAs available. Again, a very practical concern that definitely plays into decision making. Let's just see if we can get one more. Anybody have one more idea? Maybe not. There we go, one more. So following presentation of theory, present problems to students online, students helping students. Okay, so you're thinking about what students actually need to do, and that is a good direction to be going in. So what we're going to offer you today, and Adam, you can go to the next slide, is some questions to guide decision making. We wanted you to do the thinking first. That's why we elicit first, so that you do the brain work. But we do have some possibilities to share with you as well. So if you want to click on that first box. So we've created a category called sound pedagogy. So here are a couple of examples of questions related to pedagogy that we might want to consider. So what course content is likely to generate a lot of questions and require extensive explanation? So if you reflect on your teaching practice and you know what's challenging for students, you know what theories might pose problems for them or concepts and where they're likely to have a lot of questions. Maybe that's better to do in synchronous time so that you can respond right away. And the second question we have here is which learning activities benefit from interaction with me, the instructor, with peers? Well, again, that might guide your decision making. You might not want to do something like that asynchronously if that immediate interaction is something that will enhance students' learning. We've got another category, wellness. So practical considerations. How much time do I have available to plan my courses? And this is sort of, the practical part is not negligible. You have to think what is realistic between now and the fall. And if you are new to many of the tools, or if you've never tried a particular strategy, you're going to think, well, is now the time? Do I have the time to climb a learning curve? You might not. That's okay. You can hang on to something new for later on. Maybe you want to stick to what's familiar. Okay. We have a second question. How can I design a course that has a manageable workload for both students and me? Important consideration. And that sort of ties in with the TA one that we had earlier. These are real concerns. So when you're planning, keep in mind what is realistic in terms of workload for you and your students. Now, we're going to give you a handout with these questions, but we have another handout for you. So let's just go to that next slide. So blended learning activities and assessments planner. And Adam, I don't know if you're going to put the link in the chat. If not, I can put the link in the chat. That's okay. No rush for it. I can just talk through this. This is a Word document that you can download that has one of the examples that we shared earlier. So this was the archaeology example. And this is a document that you can use to fill in your own teaching segments. So it's a Word, when you download it, it's a Word document. Let me just get that link right now so we can put that in there, because we want to know also that you are able to download it. Okay, I'm putting that in the chat right now. So this is the planner, and there we go. So I'm going to wait while you try downloading, because we're going to need the thumbs up that you can actually access this. That will be important. And you'll need to download it to be able to edit it. And you will see some questions on there. And you will see this planner that you can, oh, I got a thumbs up. Lovely. Excellent. A planner that expands as you type in it, so you can use it to engage in the planning activity. So just want to let you know that the questions that we're proposing are like, it's not a comprehensive list of questions. And you can always add your own questions to what we propose. So we just had a few examples on the screen, but of course you put excellent thoughts into the chat, and we would encourage you to formulate those as questions and to include them in your planner to guide your preparation for the fall. Adam, what am I forgetting?
Nothing. I think that's great. Thank you for grabbing the link. I didn't have it handy. So I think that those are exactly the things that we want to give you, some scaffolded ideas to be able to sort of bootstrap you forward, so that you can start thinking about rationales and planning. And again, the nice thing about this chart around the objectives is you can be very specific, or you can be a little bit more general. And it also allows you to really, what we're suggesting is it allows you to plan the next step. Because from here, for example, if you're not sure of a tool that might actually match with this setting that you really want to do, that's something you can explore next. That can follow up with other webinars. That's where you can get help on. So really, the idea of the framework to get sort of know you need to go as your next forward. Okay, so
Over to
From
you.
here, yes, exactly. That's a good lob, a nice lob with the tennis ball there. So, I mean, I think one of the things that we really need to think about as you start talking about or thinking about activities is the last part of those columns where, you start thinking a little bit more about assessment. And the reason being that if we're thinking about activities, and if we draw back on some of the things that we've discussed in our webinars and series from last year, is that we know that the best kind of assessments that we can do in our courses allow for students to demonstrate learning in a variety of ways. And so there are three kind of different areas we want to mention about what that variety is. The first thing is having different student artifacts that can be used as a part of that demonstration. So having students write something, having students draw something, having students speak about something, having students design something, build something. The more types of artifacts that you can use as part of a diversity of those assessments give a lot of students opportunities to demonstrate their learning in different ways. And it will give you a much more broad perspective and rich perspective about what students are learning. The second is, of course, we can demonstrate learning in different ways by using different types of interactions. So we could, for example, allow students to interact with each other and do something as a group assignment or group kind of activity, or it can be individual on their own. And the last, of course, is that the type of feedback that the students are given. So there could be different types of feedback where students are just self-assessing. In other words, they answer a question and reflect on, whether or not it's correct or what the right answer might be, et cetera. They could be interacting with each other and getting peer feedback from their peers within a class or within an activity, or they could also get that feedback or assessment from you as an instructor. So I think that you may get an idea of where we're going, that, hey, wait a minute, look, we have a lot of different options. And if we have a lot of different options to demonstrate learning, then our wonderful little blender idea comes forward as being extremely appropriate for thinking about assessment, because we can use the same idea and same concepts around how do we blend assessments together using a variety of in-person, online synchronous, or online asynchronous kind of activities to be able to ensure that we want to demonstrate learning in the broadest variety possible. So one of the ways that we can think about that is thinking about how do we find the sweet spot for the assessment that we're picking. So how do we blend this together and find something that's really going to work, that's going to balance a lot of these ideas. And what's interesting is that Carolyn brought up two of sort of categories that are really important for thinking about blending activities, sound pedagogy and wellness. But what's interesting is that assessment adds a new dimension that we have to think about. And so we want to give you a sort of a Venn diagram that thinks about these different areas, specifically sort of sound pedagogy and wellness that we've discussed a little bit previously when it comes to activities. But when we're talking about assessment, there's kind of another dimension that's really important to think about, and that is one of academic integrity and security and the balance that goes between those. And so what we want to suggest is, again, that idea that there's a sweet spot, and that sweet spot, as Carolyn mentioned, is sort of the optimum point in the middle where you're balancing pedagogy and wellness and you're balancing integrity and security to get the kind of the best combination you can find to be able to maximize the types of opportunities for students to demonstrate their learning.
So we do want to acknowledge, sorry to interrupt you, Adam, like we have to acknowledge that compromise may be needed. So you can't always have exactly what you want, or you might not be able to always have exactly what you want, but it's finding the optimal place.
Yeah. And I think it's really great that Carolyn, you brought up again the idea of compromise, is that nothing is perfect. And it's so difficult for us as educators to wrap our brains around that, because we want everything to be the best. And it's part of our personalities often when you go into teaching, that you really want to knock it out of the park at every single opportunity. But a lot of these things are really balances and compromises. And what might be great pedagogically to do may just not be possible. You may not have the bandwidth, either mentally or your students mentally have the bandwidth or the capacity or logistics to pull it off. And we have to make sure we find that balance. So if we think about sound pedagogy in this context, we're thinking about aligning learning outcomes to assessments, making sure students have variety and multiple opportunities for learning. If we're thinking about academic integrity, we want to think about commitment to different fundamental values: honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, courage, all the things that go into integrity, and ensure that there's a moral engagement, that students are aware that there's a way we should be doing this assessment and that they're on board with that idea. As well as we also have security. There are things we need to enforce. If we want something to be done individually, we have to take some steps to ensure that it is done individually as best we can. And then, of course, last being wellness, the idea of making sure that we can actually pull this off, both in terms of wellness for our students and wellness for us as instructors. So what we want to do is also bounder that within what is the literature telling us about sort of academic integrity and security, and some things to think about and some considerations that we need to look at when we're thinking about finding that sweet spot. And what I want to point out too is this huge study that was done looking at students' perceptions of the likelihood of engaging in academically dishonest things such as contract cheating. And the idea here being contract cheating is getting somebody to do your work for you, i.e. downloading the information from the internet from somebody else, paying somebody to take your assessment, all that sort of stuff. The two things that are really interesting at the bottom here is that heavily weighted tasks, short turnaround times have the highest likelihood for students to go down a bad road. So these are things that we need to think about to say, well, okay, how can we look at not having heavily weighted tasks? How can we avoid a 60% online exam as an example? But again, we have to balance the integrity and security here with wellness. And one of the things we heard last year is that in many cases, courses made too many small tasks, and maybe they weren't varied enough in some situations. So we have to keep that balance of like, what's the sweet spot between not trying to weight it too much, but also not trying to inundate students all the time with assessments every single day, every single thing that something else is due. And how can we avoid that short turnaround time? Like, you have 1 hour to complete it, go, 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 go. How can I get this done? I can't, I'm gonna have to go an alternative route, and copying it off the internet is the easiest thing. So those are things we have to consider. So one of the ways that we wanted to do this is take an example, because we love using examples. Karen and I are so example hungry, and we love hearing your examples. We just love to talk about examples all the time. So we want to talk about what is probably one of the most common sort of online synchronous assessments that you might do, which would be an online exam, i.e. you're using a quiz in my courses and everybody's going to do it from 9 to 10 on Thursday morning. That's your exam, etc. So an example here is, we have to think about different areas of what we can do to look for that sweet spot. In terms of sound pedagogy, can we create different question types? Can we have things other than just selection? Maybe we can, have people generate ideas, write in their own concepts, etc. Can we have multiple tries or multiple submissions and multiple opportunities? And can we actually design the assessment around real world problems, stuff that we think students are going to actually use maybe in their daily lives, as an example? In terms of wellness, well, we what sort of time allotment can we give? One of the messages we found from students is that if we gave students 3 days to do an assessment, they took 3 days. Even if we told them to spend an hour, they still took 3 days. So we know what, we may actually have to constrain the time and say, you only have from 10 to 12. That's it. That's all you get. And that forces them to sort of not overdo it and not go down a path that is going to be, a problem in terms of a mental wellness. Second, maybe multiple tries or submissions, and maybe not predetermining results. I mean, one of the problems around a lot of these assessments that we're doing is that we're assuming a bell curve is a necessity. We're assuming an average. We're assuming. And why should we predetermine those results? If everybody does well, should everybody not be rewarded for doing well on that particular assessment, as an example?
Yeah, and there's a direct impact, sorry, Adam, but there's a direct impact there on wellness. So you can imagine what it would feel like, student believes they've done well on an assessment, and then sees a grade later that's not reflective of the actual performance. That can really have an impact on how you feel.
Yeah, and how you feel is directly connected to how well you're going to connect in the course, your engagement in university, motivation, everything deflates from there. And that's one of the things where predetermined results are one of the most difficult things to do, and probably one of the worst things you could do in these sort of scenarios where, a student might get, all of the questions correct but one, and then end up with a C. There's nothing more demotivating than that. So in terms of academic integrity, the idea of an honor codes work. They really do work, and all the research is behind them, that giving people an honor code to acknowledge is important. Connecting to personal experience, so connecting the assessments to as much personal experience as possible and having it be as authentic as they can. And then, of course, with security, with something like an online exam, are you randomizing questions and answers? Are you using a question bank, 100 questions and you draw 20, in which case, like, every single student's exam is going to be different. And then, of course, you can play around with things like the time allotment or constraints to make sure that you're able to work with that as well. So that's just one example there. I mean, in the interest of time, we don't want to go too much detail, but I do want to just quickly mention for that sweet spot, if you're looking at an essay, there again are other options that you might want to think about. And I'll just point to a few things in terms of sound pedagogy with an essay, being able to have multiple drafts or submissions. In other words, having people, create a thesis statement, do a background literature, do let's an outline, do a first draft, etc. Great pedagogical ideas here to make sure that it's rooted in sound pedagogy. But that also, if you'll notice, there is listed under assessment security as multiple stages. The more you break up an essay into smaller stages, the more likely you are to know if they actually did their own work. Other things to mention here as well, but to be seen some of the ones that you see that are the same as with quizzes or online exams would be using text matching. I mean, we have an option at McGill to be able to use text matching software with assignments. You can find out more of that online so that you can actually know if where the actual text has come from and does it match something on the internet. So I think those are some of the key things that we wanted to mention as examples. And then lastly, the questions that Carolyn talked to about pedagogy and wellness, we want to sort of connect across all the areas of how are you going to decide. So if we look at a couple of these examples in terms of sound pedagogy, what course content is likely to generate questions and require extensive explanation. So these again are things that you may want to do or assessments you may want to connect to that have a more connection to sound pedagogy than other ideas here. How much time do you have to plan? How much effort do you have to focus on? In terms of academic integrity, how will the students understand that academic integrity is important in their discipline? How are they able to implement citation practices? Do they know about citation practices? Have we given them as many opportunities as possible to learn about that? And then in terms of security, like which technology strategies are you using to secure your assessments? Are you doing things like, quiz randomization, assessment, both from quiz and answer randomization, things like text matching, et cetera. And also last, which I think is great in terms of security, is how can I implement multi-stage assessments where students demonstrate their skills in different levels over time in different ways. And the more you do that, the more secure and the more sound pedagogically and the better wellness and the better integrity all of your assessments are going to have. So Carolyn, do you want to add something here in terms of the questions of decision-making before we move on?
Well, I would like to reiterate that this is not a comprehensive list of questions. So this is to get you started. There are a few more in the planner that we gave you the link to. And we would really encourage you to add to that list, like what are the questions that are important for you? And the questions that are important for you might not be important for your colleagues. So this is all about your course. I have put a link in the chat to some information about text matching at McGill, and I'm about to put another link into the chat to an example of a multi-stage assignment for those who are curious to see what it can look like. And I think it's, I'm going to put page 17 there. Let me just see if it starts on page, starting on page 17. So you can take a look at that. If you've never heard of multi-stage assignments, this might give you some inspiration.
Exactly. So I think that, if we're constantly thinking in the back of our minds about all of the decisions we're making about blending and where, what environment, what setting do we want our activities or assessments to be done, are things sound pedagogically? Are they aligned with the things that we're trying to do in our courses? Are we really ensuring that we have enough time and enough opportunity and enough logistics to be able to pull off the kind of activities, assessments we want to do in terms of wellness? Have we thought about the kind of issues around academic integrity that we want to make sure that students are aware of as they engage in these activities and assessments? And lastly, are we really aware of the types of security that we have available to us? And there's nothing wrong with having our assessments secure. I think that's an important piece. It's reasonable, it's something that's important, and students will value as well. They are as much a player in this, and they want to know that it's not easy to copy your things off the internet. It's not easy to just sort of breeze through an assessment. They want to know that assessment is going to be true to form as well. So we want to sort of get to our next piece here.
Yeah, let's open it up now, Adam. So you can advance the slide. That's good. So we wanted to ask you, because we still have some time here, what other questions might you consider when designing your blended course? And we would encourage you either to type in the chat, or if you prefer, just put up your hand and we'll call on you. Happy to hear from you. Your questions are also helpful for us because, of course, we work with instructors from across the university, and it's super helpful for us to know what's on instructors' minds and how you might, what approach you might take to designing a blended course and to ensuring that assessments are in that sweet spot for your course. So what other questions might you consider? We had those 4 different categories. You can work with those. If you have something that does not fall into one of those categories, that's okay too. But we would like to take a few minutes now to hear from you.
And I just want to mention one last thing too that I think is going to be important, is that, oftentimes a lot of our decision making is centered around the tools that we have and what options those tools provide. And I think that that's important if you're thinking about security. That's important in some cases if you're thinking about pedagogy as well. If you've never done peer assessment, suddenly we have technologies and we have tools and software that can support assessments and activities that you may not have ever been able to do before. And these are constantly evolving and changing. And I just want to post in here as well. This is the tools to support teaching and learning. These are all the tools that we have beyond our learning system, beyond my courses, that can enhance the types of activities and assessments that you're doing in your courses. So if you're not sure, you want to do something, but you're not sure how to, that's where we can come in, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But so with that, what other questions might you consider? Does anybody want to throw one in the chat? And then Carol and I can maybe riff off of that for a little bit as before we get to the end of our time.
But we're not seeing questions in the chat, and we would like to see questions in the chat, or do please put up a hand.
Otherwise, we're going to have to give our own questions and our own answers, which is always possible. We were very happy to answer our own questions, but we really would like to answer your questions. But thinking about other questions. So here we go.
There we go.
First one. Go ahead, Carolyn. You want to look at that one?
Well, we can look together. So using many of the online tools requires significant investment of time on the instructor's part. I would like to use them, but often find they have a steep learning curve. How do we choose the best tools? Okay, so this is, yeah, it's good. And I have a couple of suggestions. So one, I think, would be certainly to talk to colleagues. And teaching can feel very isolating at times, and especially, when we're working online, we're not in the office. This is a good question to put to colleagues and find out what they have found useful and see what they say about learning curve and about the utility of the tools. Another option, of course, is to consult TLS, and we are absolutely happy to have these conversations with instructors. It's what we love to talk about. So 2 sources of information can be helpful. I think those are 2 routes that you could go to find out, like when you really don't know what tools will do the job. Adam did put a link in the chat earlier to the tools support page. There is, on that page, you will find some brief descriptions of what the tools will allow for, what you can use the tools for. But sometimes it's just expedient to talk to colleagues and see what they've been doing, and certainly to talk with people at TLS.
And just to add to that as well, I think this is exactly where the compromise comes in. And I think this is one of those things where we may have a tool, or there may be a tool that is exactly what you want to do, but the learning curve is high and maybe there isn't enough time. So looking for alternatives, I think, is really critical. And I think that's one of the things that we can help guide you on. There are certain tools that I think that are going to be easier to use than others, but also I think thinking of any of these decisions as not a one-term choice. And I think that's another really important thought, is that whatever you do, we can look at this as the long game. So investing some time in, let's say, learning the ins and outs of, let's say, the My Courses assignments tool and what you can do with it is something that is going to be useful because it's being added and expanded and it's getting better over time. So a lot of the stuff around My Courses that you learn, this is our learning system. It's not going anywhere. This is what we're using. So the more you learn about it, the more it's going to be useful the next time you give the course and the next time you give the course. course. And with that multi sort of stage idea is that you don't have to do it all at once. Implement one really good thing you want to do in this fall, implement another thing in the winter, and a thing after that. So we can sort of stage it out.
That's very, very good advice. You don't
Exactly.
have to do it all in one semester. Start small, build.
Exactly. And so with it, I think it's a good transition to one of the next questions, which talked about a practical point around scheduling. So this is an important thing. You need to speak with your administrative folks in the department that are doing or that are helping you with the schedules. My understanding at the moment with schedules is that they have been chosen. You have already chosen either it's going to be in person 3 times a week, or if it's in person once a week, or it's going to be all online. If it sometimes that choice is made for you if it's over 150 students. But beyond that, you can make the call. So for example, if you get to the fall and you chose 3 times a week to meet in person, but you know what, you'd like to meet once a week and then do other online sessions, that is your choice to do. And that is something you have flexibility on. The only thing that you have to be aware of is that if you're going to do synchronous things online, you have to do it at the same time that the course was meant to be given. And that's something that I think is really, really important as well. And okay, so Caroline, you may have a follow-up. Do you want to go ahead and unmute and say the rest of the question, or maybe I didn't answer it?
Yeah, well, I guess it was more about classes that are back to back. Like I can schedule, and I understand what you're saying, that is being set for me as far as I know. But it's more about like what happens if, my class is online and the next one is in person. What are students going to have to do? Where, do they have a quiet place to listen to an online lecture if they want to be, present? Because I tried pre-recorded and I found it didn't really work very well. It was actually more work for me. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's part of my complication right now. I'm really like, that's why I put my X right in the middle of the line. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a very good question, and that's something that the rest of the infrastructure at the McGill is working out. So the libraries are very hard at work looking at expanding their small rooms or expanding quiet spaces, expanding spaces for students to work, so that they are able to sort of headphones in and tune in and interact in different places. It is definitely going to be one of the biggest challenges McGill is going to have to work through, because you're right, students could have an online, like a class online, a class face-to-face, and another one online, and they're not going to go home in between. So I think we are going to have to work through that. There are, and there should be enough spaces floating around for students to go, but I think that's one of the things that we're going to have to look at as it evolves.
It is on the radar.
Absolutely.
Like that, it's being taken into account, and the university is looking at spaces that will be available. So many instructors have posed this question, and it's definitely in the process of being addressed.
Yeah.
So we have another question here about in-person classes. What happens when some students are not able to attend in person? So students are expected to be on campus in the fall, but there is that reality that students in foreign countries might not be able to make it here in time. That's just a reality. Again, the university is aware of this, and I do know that a document is being drafted to let the community know how such cases will be dealt with. So we're sort of in a holding pattern now. We have to wait to see what the university says, but it's another item that is in the process of being addressed, because it is not realistic to believe that all students will be here for the start of the semester. So we will have to wait and see how the university is going to address that.
Other questions here are talking a little bit about cognitive load, and I think that's a really good question.
Wellness
that goes back to the wellness, and that's why we have that section on wellness, to really think about and be aware of the load that is going to be put on yourself and the students and your TAs. And I think that also relates to the last question that talks about, the diversity, that there's a learning curve, and that's something that's a reality. There's a learning curve for instructors. There's a learning curve for students. I mean, one of the nice things is that, everybody's using everything. So I think, it's sort of like the more students use across classes, the more opportunities they have to, remember how they did it last time and do it again. Students spend far more time in my courses than I think instructors even are aware. It seems to be an open tab, 24/7 when it comes to students. But I think it is a reality, and that's something that you should take into account if you're implementing a tool that they've never seen before. So if you're using peer assessment and none of them have ever done peer assessment, spending some time running through the process and going over how it works is really valuable, because it's going to prevent problems later on. So work that into your scenario, work that into your time. And if you don't have the time to do that, maybe that's a reconsideration with a wellness consideration, that there isn't enough time to do this kind of new strategy. I need to do something different. So I think that's again, a great question to kind of think about, is like, what's the cognitive load? What's the learning curve? How much time do I have? How much time do the students have? All of that should be in the back of the mind to temper and balance that pedagogy, along with the assessment security and the rest of it, with the wellness that we have to worry about.
And this is why we offered that planning document, because you need the flexibility. Everybody's in a different context. People have different levels of skill with the technologies. The instructors have different levels of skill. Your students have different levels of skill. And there isn't just one right way. Like, we can't say this type of activity should be done in a synchronous environment and this type of activity should be done asynchronously. There's so many considerations. Like, if you're teaching first-year students versus fourth-year students, that's going to be different too. The first years, not only might they not know the tools at McGill, but they don't know how university works necessarily. So they come in, they don't have the same set of expectations maybe as your fourth year students. So that's why it is so important to be thinking about the context and the questions that are really appropriate for your course.
Sounds great.
So I don't see anything else coming into the chat. I don't see any other hands up.
So maybe what we could do is we could transition, Kara, to our next piece here, which is, we want to give you some suggestions of next steps, and I think these are really, really important. And maybe Carolyn, do you want to lead us through some of those next steps?
Sure. So we've got a link at the top to registration for upcoming sessions. We're going to be offering a series of webinars to address certain tools, how to plan assessments, how to plan your course content within the context of my courses and some other tools that are available at McGill. So they're very hands-on type sessions to help get you going with the different tools. And even if you're not going to use all of them immediately, knowing about them might help you with your decision making. So we would encourage you to take a look at that link, the events link, and see which upcoming sessions you might want to register for. And also,
just to add into it, I think that even if you did one of them last year, as an example, we have updated them all for the context of fall 2021, as well as new tools or things that have changed or modified as well. So we would definitely urge you to come to those sessions and or look at the recordings afterwards, just to get an idea of some of those things. Even if you've done one of the webinars on, let's say, online assessments, it's not a bad idea to do a sort of a quick refresher as you're thinking about replanning for the fall.
And then we have resources, lots of resources always available on the TLS website. And we have a special section for the disruption that we experienced starting last March. Those resources remain online for the moment, and we would encourage you to take a look at those, again, for inspiration. And we have our teaching blog, where we have interviews with instructors, or instructors talking about their experiences teaching online. So you might find something interesting there. Connect with a colleague, no URL for that. We would hope that you can find ways to contact your colleagues. Colleagues learned a tremendous amount over the past year throughout our experiences teaching online. They are now really, there's a wealth of information to be found among our colleagues, and we really encourage you to find out what they can share with you and that can be used going forward. And then, of course, you're welcome to book a consultation with Teaching and Learning Services. We love talking about all things teaching and learning. We'd love to hear about your course. If you seek ideas, maybe we can help you with ideas. If you have a plan in mind and you want feedback on your plan, we'll look at your plan and we'll give you feedback. So a lot of different options there.
And just also one last thing to add as well is that we understand, especially after this past year, that one of the things a lot of people want to do is take a break. And I think, that's an important thing to recognize. And I think it's important to recognize for yourself as well, that, we can't do it all. We need to make sure we're measured in our choices, especially this summer, so that we're ready to come back and ready to do our teaching in the fall. But one of the things that I think is really interesting is that the fall is going to be, I think, one of the best possible scenarios moving forward. And I think of it in a positive light, as opposed to, oh my goodness, another thing we have to modify and change. I think of this as that, guess what? Remember what it was like to teach before the pandemic? Well, we're getting to return to that. And even better, we're now returning to it with understanding, experience that has, gone way beyond what we would have thought possible. And I think that's really exciting, because what that does is it gives you the opportunity to say, you know what? This worked so well when I did it last fall, I'm going to keep it. This worked better when I did it before the pandemic, I'm going to keep that. So instead of actually building everything from scratch, you're almost as if you're at a menu smorgasbord, and you get to select pre-pandemic ideas, pandemic ideas, and mix it and blend it into something new that ideally could be the best possible course you've ever done. And I think with actually least amount of work, which is kind of the funny part, is that you're not necessarily building all this from scratch again. What we're doing is kind of remixing and pulling all of the best parts together.
Adam, can we just go to the next slide? We've still got
Absolutely.
a few minutes, and we want to be sure that we hear from you what your most important takeaway is from today's session. We typically ask this question because, of course, we get feedback on what you believe is meaningful, and that can inform our decisions about the offerings we create for instructors. But it's also a way for you to sort of highlight to yourselves what you want to leave here with, what you want to act on maybe when you leave here. So by articulating that, there's a better chance you're going to remember it. So we hope that you'll take a minute to type something into the chat and let us know and highlight for yourselves what your most important takeaway is from today's session. So we've got something coming in the chat. We hope we get a little bit more. Adam, I really appreciate what you just said, though, about the idea of not starting from scratch and taking the best of both worlds. That's such a helpful way to think about planning for the fall.
Yeah, it's really funny, as it's kind of like the holy grail that we've been talking about for our entire careers as people working at teaching and learning. And it's finally coming to fruition. It's sort of like we're finally able to choose what's best where. And I think that's really the exciting thing about the fall. Thanks for the comments and ideas here. We hope you've got a lot of different options available and ideas that you can work with. That's great.
Yeah, please keep these coming. This is really helpful for us.
And I like the comments here about, teaching as a journey. It is the best analogy that you could possibly come up with, is that there is no end. and that excites people and terrifies others, but it is a journey. You're constantly changing, constantly evolving, and constantly modifying. And I think that's one of the exciting parts. It's never boring.
Okay, we've got a few other ideas coming in. That's really helpful for us. Thank you. Yeah, the wellness piece is really, like, again, that came through during the pandemic, and we must not lose that going into the fall term and even after the fall term. It was really brought to the fore, and we have to keep it at the fore.
Exactly. Well, that's great. Again, great comments, great pieces of comments on the session. Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to move back. I'll leave it on this slide.
Yes, and as you put in the chat, we will be putting all of these resources onto the web. Again, it probably won't happen today, but we'll try to get it up there for tomorrow. And you'll be able to just click on the links from the website.
Great.
All right, 1 o'clock. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. We appreciated your engagement, enjoyed your comments, and that's really helpful for us too. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for coming.